You'd been here a couple of years, but day one on the job as head groundsman, was there anything that you felt you needed to do?
Loads. I guess I started as head groundsman. I'd become a bit frustrated, I suppose, as deputy with the wickets as they were. We had very slow wickets. They were getting worse. And we had a reputation for being slow, low, attritional cricket. We were quite lucky at the time. We had Mushtaq Ahmed playing for us, and he would take wickets on anything. So the need perhaps wasn't as pressing as it was towards his retirement, when it became quite clear we needed to do something about the wickets so we could take 20 wickets in a game and win matches.
So what was your first step towards that then? Because I think you've redeveloped the whole square over the last few years, haven't you?
Yeah, the first step was really to try and work out what we wanted to do in terms of the design of the wickets, to come up with a design that was unique to us, and that would give us wickets with character. What I was quite clear about not doing was to try and create wickets that they had at other clubs around the country. I didn't want to... Wickets have had a bit of criticism for becoming a little generic over the last few years. Right. So I wanted wickets with character, but really what I wanted was wickets with pace and bounce. Hove used to have a reputation in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, for having really lightning quick wickets, because we had a couple of good bowlers back then. Not that we don't now, but we had some very good bowlers, Garth LaRue and Imran Khan. Yeah. But Hove, the square had a reputation for being very quick in those days, and it felt right to try and restore that reputation and to try and construct something that would offer us pacey, bouncy games of cricket.
So to get that pace and that bounce, how do you construct the wicket then?
Carefully. I spoke a lot with our coach at the time, Mark Robinson, and I explored all sorts of avenues. I involved various consultants to get an opinion, but I think really whatever you do on a cricket wicket is an opinion. There is not really a textbook as such. Each wicket that you design or relay has to be suited to that site, and it has to be suited to the needs of the site. So it's not just a case of pulling a book off the shelf, following a USGA spec or something like that. I'd got data on soil and all sorts of different opinions from different people, and I was trying to make sense of it. And I phoned Pete Marin up again, who's a groundsman I had a lot of respect for. Right. Very instinctive, old school, but very instinctive groundsman. And I called Pete up and he said, I'll come down, I'll come and have a look. I think he wanted a road trip, actually. And
a weekend in Brighton, perhaps?
Yes, yeah, well, yes, there's worse places to be, aren't there? So I remember he walked in our sheds, our old sheds, which were over there, where they used to keep the horses. And he walked in, I put the kettle on, and I said, I've got all the soil testing here, Pete. He says, don't bother with all that rubbish. and that was typical Pete, and he gave me his opinion. And basically his advice was, whatever you do, stick with what you think you want to do. You're going to have to bear the results and the consequences of whatever you do. So do what you think's right and go with it. So we sort of set our aims out and made sure it was sustainable before we broke ground, and made sure that we could keep doing what we needed to do throughout the programme of relaying. So we started in 2009. We relayed 3 wickets that year, 1 second 11 pitch and 2 first class pitches. And we went from there. And every year, although we had a plan, I think originally we should have finished relaying by 2015. But we didn't want to be reckless about this. So each year we would examine how things had gone and make a decision about how we would go forward. You can't take risks in first class cricket. You can't do anything that's reckless. You've got guys bowling at potentially 90 miles an hour. Yeah. It's an unsafe sport. So everything we did had to be very cautious and conservative. That's not my nature to be like that, but we had to be like that. So, for example, in the consolidation, everything was heel and toe. It was all old-fashioned methods, just because I felt comfortable doing that, and I felt that gave us the best control over the wicket. So we were walking up and down like penguins for days on ends. I devised a tool that allowed us to lay the loam down in very even layers. Oh, right, okay. It was just a kind of levelling bar that dropped into the trench, and we could raise up in increments. So we used that to sort of lay the loam down evenly.
Have you patented that as the Mackay levelling bar?
No, God help anyone that feels like they want to use it. It works well for us. I realise that my methods are quite old-fashioned, really. In the days of, we have laser levels, and someone like Steve Pask will put a wicket in a day and a half, if not quicker. But I just wanted to keep things under control, do things in-house, do it for myself, so if something went wrong, I knew where to look. And we did things like, traditionally you would lay loam down in perhaps a 2-inch layer when you're constructing. We went to an inch layer at a time, which was much more laborious, but it meant that everything was double heeled effectively, and the chances for air pockets, etc., were much lower. And I'm quite confident that that's been the right decision. The way the wickets have settled, they've settled very, very well in terms of the levels. I chose a difficult, I guess the design is quite a difficult design. I wouldn't recommend anyone else do it, but we use Gosted loam, and we use their supernatural type loam. It's not something that everybody would want to construct with, but we did. I knew that would give us pace and bounce. It was a loam I was comfortable with the longevity of supply and the quality of supply going forwards. They mix their loam as a blended product, so I know that they can make adjustments year on year, and they're not so dependent on what they can find in fields and from developments and stuff. They're a good company, and they do what they say they'll do, basically. So their products were something I was comfortable using.
Sure.
I'd been using the Supernatural loam for top dressing for a few years, and it was a product I liked. It's very difficult to work with if you're under-resourced in any way, but of course we're not. We're a first-class cricket club. I've got the manpower, I can water the stuff, I've got equipment.
So, from where you set out all those years ago to where the pitches are now, have they actually delivered that pace and that bounce that you were looking for?
Potentially they can. They're still young, so I still feel... last year was it was very pleasing to me. We went to our end of season awards dinner. We had a commendation for the 4-day pitches, and to me that felt like we'd kind of arrived in a sense on the 4-day pitches. That was personally very satisfying. But if I'm honest, we have some, we have to be careful for the next few years. They're good pitches. They have the potential to deliver the pace. We played against Worcester a few years ago. Phil Hughes was playing in that game, and he told one of the lads at Surrey that was the quickest pitch he'd ever played on anywhere in the world. Now he's an Aussie batsman, bless him. I don't know if that was quite the case, because we just peppered them during the game. We had some good bowlers, but to hear things like that, it's really nice. So we've got some work to do. We need to be careful. I know that when I leave, the next guy will be laughing.
Right, okay.